Hello everyone and welcome to Sunburned about to play the Ace Attorney Trilogy episode 105? Or is it 6? It's one of those things. But we're coming on. They're trying to pass off Maya as being dead now, but like, dude, she definitely is the one channeling Dahlia Hawthorne. We don't know why yet. I don't know why she would do that, but she's doing it. Perhaps to save herself from the cavern? But then it's like, well, can you stop? When can you stop channeling people? Like, can you just take control back at some point? I don't know. Sadly, it appears the killer of Elisa Donham, also known as Misty Fey, was her own daughter, Maya Fey. Overcome with guilt for what she had done, Maya Fey jumped to her death into the raging waters of the Eagle River. It can't be. Ha! Trite. Have you ever heard this one? Once you eliminate the impossible, whatever remains must be the truth. No matter how improbable it may seem. Well, what is that supposed to mean, Prosecutor Godot? According to this witness, Maya Fey threw herself into the Eagle River. However, is that really the truth? Remember, this woman testified earlier that the bridge was already on fire when the murder was taking place in the garden, which means if Maya had thrown herself into the river, it must have been from the inner temple side near the bridge. That's right, that's where she jumped from. But that's impossible. It's impossible to jump into the river from there. What? Don't get your panties all twisted up, Trite. Just relax and think through the whole thing again. So it's impossible? Maya couldn't have thrown herself into Eagle River? Well, Mr. Wright, Miss Hawthorne claims Miss Fey threw herself into the river from the inner temple side. Impossible. Because there's all rocks and stuff over there. Do you have any evidence that refutes this claim? I sure do. It's impossible to jump into the Eagle River from the inner temple side. No one knows that better than this witness. What did you say? 11 years ago, you jumped into the very same river. Just take a look at this overhead map. As you can see, below the cliff on the inner temple side is a big rock shelf. Oh, you're right. She wouldn't have reached the river if she had jumped off from there. In other words, if she had jumped, we should be able to see her body in this photo. Ah. Ha, so you finally figured it out. Dude, Godot, like, Dahlia's the one who killed you. Remember? So, like, you should really have a bit more of an axe to grind with her than you're letting on right now. I'm hoping that comes out at some point. No! Order! You're just playing with me. Maya Fey's body is at the bottom of Eagle River. There's nowhere else she could possibly be hiding. Miss Hawthorne, have you ever heard this one before? Once you eliminate the impossible, whatever remains must be the truth. Yes, just a few minutes ago. Maya Fey wasn't inside the sacred cavern. We now know that she didn't throw herself into the Eagle River. Correct. That eliminates all the most likely possibilities. Now, although it seems improbable, there's still one other place she could be. Ooh, what? What is this one possibility you are talking about? That's obviously a bluff. So where is her dead body then? Finally, I think the pieces are falling into place. Normally, the living have no way to punish the dead. But I think there is a way to give Dahlia Hawthorne the ultimate punishment. Shall I tell you, Miss Hawthorne? Shall I tell you where Maya is this very instant? Maya Fey is in this very courtroom. There's only one possibility left. Namely, She's right here in this very courtroom. What?
Maya Fey is here? You say she's here in my courtroom?
Dahlia Hawthorne, I seem to recall that you said I had misunderstood one thing, you see. So what? But I think there's one more thing you misunderstood. What do you mean? Tell me something. At this very moment, who is channeling Dahlia Hawthorne? Why, that's obvious. It's Pearl Fey, that pathetic little sniveling runt. You're wrong. Pearl's tried, but she couldn't do it. I've never failed at channeling someone. This is the first time it's happened. Isn't there any explanation for why you couldn't channel a spirit? It could happen if someone else was already channeling the same spirit. Someone called me before Pearl did? But who? Pearl's even tried again on the day after the crime, but she couldn't do it. What could that mean? I think the truth is becoming clearer to you right about now, am I correct? Ah! It wasn't Pearls that channeled you. There was someone who called you before she could. This is an easy one. Pearls couldn't do it, and Misty Fey is gone. There's only one possibility left.
Come on already. I can't stand the tension.
Dahlia Hawthorne, the person channeling you right now must be Maya Fey. What?
But how could that be? Remember what this witness, Dahlia Hawthorne, said about her goal. She said that her goal was to kill Maya Fey. Yes, that's right. But if Maya channeled the spirit of someone that was trying to kill her... Ha! Well, Gramps, what would happen? Could it be?
It looks like you finally understand, Your Honor. Well, I don't. What are you going on about? What I'm going on about is the reason Maya channeled you, and there's only one reason. To protect herself from you. To protect herself? From me? Yes. On the night of the crime, you were only interested in one thing. Killing Maya Fey. The path back to Hazakura was closed off and there was nowhere for her to run. So then the problem became, where would be the safest place to hide? You mean, that's when she channeled me? All this time you thought you had been channeled by Pearls. That's why it never occurred to you. That Maya's hiding place was you. No, don't say that! You're saying that Dahlia Hawthorne, was played for a fool by that little whelp? Maya Fey killed herself. Isn't it obvious? Sorry, but no. It would have been impossible for her to jump into the Eagle River. This was the only avenue of escape open to Maya. The only way that Maya could disappear from the inner temple. I don't believe you. A stupid little girl like that who's never been out in the real world. She could never have come up with a plan like that. Who could have ever given her such a brilliant idea? Well? Me, of course. Mia! Mia Fey! It's been a long time, Dahlia Hawthorne. Alright, I have their voices as too similar now. So we'll fix the other one.
So it's true. It was you.
Yes.
Ha! You're something else.
But what are you doing here? That hair. It's Pearls, right? Tell me something, Dahlia. I want you to think back to that night one more time. You had just cornered Maya in the Inner Temple's garden, and then, in the final moments of the fight, you lost consciousness. I was stabbed by Maya Fey! Actually, Maya lost consciousness at the same time as you.
She did. Not terribly surprising, since she was about to be killed.
When she woke up, she was in the training hall. That's when Maya decided she needed help, so she channeled me. She explained in a memo the situation she was in. She asked me what I thought she should do. She did that? I can't believe it! Of course, I didn't have all the details. But one thing was perfectly clear.
And that was...
I knew that you couldn't be allowed to wander free.
Free? What do you mean?
It was a race against time, so I wrote down 2 things that Maya had to do. Channel Dahlia Hawthorne as soon as possible, and lock herself in the sacred cavern until help arrived. So it was Maya who put that lock on there.
Yes, but why did you order her to do those 2 things?
If she hadn't done it, Dahlia Hawthorne would have been channeled by someone else. By one Pearl Fay.
Pearls?
Yes, Pearl didn't properly understand the plan, so all she was trying to do was follow her mother, Morgan Fay's instructions. If she had succeeded in channeling Dahlia Hawthorne's spirit, things would have turned out very badly, to put it mildly.
So that's how it was. Dahlia Hawthorne would have used the body of Pearl Fay to kill Maya at all costs. Yes, it certainly sounds like that was the intent all along.
How dare you! I won't forget this! Why not just admit it, Dahlia Hawthorne? Your little plan was nothing but a big failure. Yes, another failure to add to the pile of shame, wouldn't you say? What do you mean by another? Think about it, Dahlia. Remember all your past crimes? Not a single one of them was a success. They all ended in failure. What? How dare you? 11 years ago, the fake kidnapping, your very first crime. You got your hands on a $2 million diamond, but... after Terry Falls escaped and went to meet with Valerie Hawthorne, the truth was exposed. Shut your mouth! That wasn't my fault! It was because of that stupid oaf of a prisoner and that weakling of a policewoman! And then, 1 year later, you tried to kill me. Well, I'm still alive, but... you wound up killing someone else. As a result, you were sentenced to death. It's one stupid move after another for you, but it's no longer funny. You, wipe that smug, happy-go-lucky smile off your face! And now this. You've messed up again. You let Maya Fay escape, even though she was right there in front of you. Mia Fay! Mia Fay! Mia Fay! Mia Fay! You spinster! I was supposed to kill Maya Fay like I swore I would! And if only you had gotten this spiky-haired jerk the guilty verdict, I wouldn't have been hanged to death! True. But I think you finally understand, Dahlia Hawthorne. You will never defeat me. What? What did you say? Whether you're alive, dead, or somewhere in between, you will never defeat me. As long as I'm around, you're destined to lose for all of eternity. I remember what you said earlier in the trial. You said there was no way we could punish you, because you were already dead. What about it? Then you said, even when the body dies, the spirit, the ego, it lives on forever. That's very true, Dahlia. And that's exactly the punishment you'll never be able to escape from. For all of eternity, you'll have to remain as Dahlia Hawthorne, a miserable, pathetic, weak creature who can never win at anything. And for you, there is no escape from that. No hope of freedom. Since the day you were executed, the narrow bridge that once stretched out in front of you has burnt to a crisp. You're wrong! It can't be! How could I lose to the likes of you? It no longer matters. I don't care whether you win or lose anymore. The only thing I want is for you to come out of Maya's body right now! And some more of that. I don't have enough breath to be doing all that. I'm not ready. Not ready to go. Why do you look like 6 years younger?
Nick? Sis?
Now then, I assume you are the real Iris?
Yes, I was just rescued from the sacred cavern.
I must say, you and your twin sister are indeed identical from what I can see. In any case, it appears that everything has finally been cleared up. Mr. Godot, what happened to Dahlia Hawthorne? If you ask me, Your Honor, it looks like she went back to the hell she came from. It seems that Misty Faye wasn't the only victim of this crime. Maya Faye, as well as the young Pearl Faye, were also victims of this wicked and selfish plan.
Yes, Your Honor.
The tragedy of Medium Valley has finally come to an end, it seems. It would be best for everyone if no further attempt was made to channel that spirit again.
Your Honor?
Yes, what is it?
About this whole spirit medium thing, it's almost weird how comfortable you seem to be with the concept now.
Well, to be frank, my younger brother is quite judgmental. He often criticizes me for not studying hard enough. That's why I made a concerted effort to study up on the Korean channeling technique.
Hey, isn't that the New Year's issue of Occult?
I've seen quite a few things in my many years on the bench, and in all that time I've finally learned this one thing. Each case is different, and takes place in its own world, if you will. In order to fully understand that world, first we have to immerse ourselves in it completely. And that's where my brother and I used to differ.
Never thought of it that way.
At any rate, it's time to pass judgment in the case of Iris of Hazakura Temple. You're a little too fast with that gavel, Your Honor. What do you mean by that, Mr. Godot?
This trial, it isn't over yet. That's what he means.
What? Trite. Remember what Miss Evil Spirit said in her testimony?
Huh? Dahlia's testimony? I caught up with her in front of the stone lantern. Then I took out the dagger I got from the storeroom and... It's strange, but I don't have a clear memory of what happened after that. I think I was stabbed. Just as Dahlia Hawthorne was about to attack Maya, she was stabbed and killed by someone.
Yes, that's right. The person that was ultimately killed was the spirit medium that channeled Dahlia. Elisa Donham. No, Misty Faye. But who killed her? We still don't know who did it.
This isn't over?
Unless someone else is found guilty, the accused is still on trial. We can't let her walk until there is evidence that proves her innocence.
No way.
But this court isn't prepared for any further testimony. The prosecution is ready to call our final witness. Final witness? This one will clear up the whole mystery. The mystery of who killed Misty Faye. Indeed.
Is it really all right, Mr. Prosecutor?
Of course it's alright, Madam Attorney. Very well then. Who is this final witness? Ha! Isn't it obvious? There's one person who saw the whole event and will put the final dagger in this case. Someone who saw the murder take place. The very person who saw her mother killed in front of her own eyes.
You mean Maya? You can't! She can't testify after what she's just been through!
We need to find the truth. The prosecution calls Maya Fey to the witness stand. Very well. But first, we'll take a brief recess. We'll have to wait for Miss Fey to recover before summoning her. Once we receive the doctor's permission, we will proceed with the trial. Hey, Trite. I've got something to say to you, so listen up.
What is it?
I don't think much of you as a lawyer. It's always the same with you. You somehow manage to just squeak by without even a faint understanding of the case. Some beautiful woman always seems to come dashing in at the last minute to save you.
You've got some nerve!
But that's not going to happen this time. This time, you're going to have to do this by yourself. That's enough. This court is now in recess.
I'm truly sorry about everything. You were working so hard to defend me, but I was missing all day, and we didn't even have a chance to talk.
She's right. When I met Iris at the training hall yesterday, they had already switched places, and Iris was inside the sacred cavern.
I wanted to at least be in the defendant's box today to root you on.
Well, it wasn't your fault. You were locked up this whole time. There's something more important than that, though. I have to ask you. Why did you help your sister out as much as you did?
Huh?
If you had tried to get help at the sacred cavern yesterday, you wouldn't have spent an entire day locked up in there.
My sister. I felt sorry for her. She was abandoned by our mother and never got any love from our father either.
Yes, but it was the same for you too, wasn't it?
Yes, but at least I had Sister Bikini, who was like a mother to me. If only Dahlia had come with me to Hazakura Temple. I always loved her. Dahlia was always so smart, so strong. She never complained about a thing. That's why I promised her that I would help her.
Are you talking about the fake kidnapping case 11 years ago?
Yes. I wanted to be useful to her in some way. But, as usual, I was too cowardly. At the last minute, I ran away. Because of that, Dahlia's stepsister, Valerie, ended up...
That was the case that wounded Mia so badly.
But things didn't end there, of course. Some people suspected that my sister was involved in the murder.
Some people? You must mean...
Yes, 2 defense attorneys. Mia Fey and Diego Armando. After poisoning Mr. Armando, who was getting too close to learning the truth, Dahlia even tried to kill the person who had unknowingly hid the poison for her. You.
That's right. Iris, there's one more thing that I have to ask you.
Yes, what is it?
On the night of the murder, the person that cleaned up the corpse of the victim, Elisa Donham, was it really you?
Yes, it was me. That night, after I rang the lights out bell, I went back to my room. At around 10:30, I received a call on my cell phone.
Beep. There's a problem. Come to the inner temple right away.
I got on the snowmobile and headed for the inner temple, but the path to the inner temple was cut off.
Or the path to the inner temple was cut off, right?
Exactly.
We can't just leave the body here, so you've got to do this exactly as I say, got it?
It was me. I was the one that received her body. The murder weapon had been left in her body so she wouldn't bleed too much. The staff that Mystic Elise always held.
I knew it. So the actual murder weapon was the staff.
Yes, that's right. I brought the body back to Hazakura Temple on the snowmobile.
But why? Why did you alter the body?
I didn't want anyone to know that the staff was the murder weapon. I didn't want to leave anything that would lead back to Misty Fae. So I dressed her in a robe and stabbed her with the Shishishito. I wiped the blood off the staff's blade and left it next to her on the ground.
Iris, just tell me one last thing. Tell me the name of the person that called your cell phone. The real killer.
I'm sorry, Mr. Wright. I can't do it. I can't say who did it.
I see.
Defendant!
Yes?
The judge is calling you. He wants you to see you in his chambers. He has some questions about Dahlia Hawthorne.
Alright. Well then, I'll see you later. There's something I want to tell you.
Oh, okay. Something she wants to tell me. So it's true. Iris cooperated with the real killer. Maybe even from the very beginning.
Phoenix.
Mia! How is Maya doing?
Physically, I'm not worried. She'll recover completely. But emotionally, she's been hurt very badly by this case.
I see. You don't mean she's learned who Elisa Donham really was?
Yes. I went to the medical office and talked with her. I told her everything I knew.
But why?
Maya is stronger than you think. I knew she could take it. All of it.
What do you mean by that?
I want you to figure that answer out by yourself. The trial is about to restart. The real killer. Do you know who it is yet?
Iris wouldn't tell me who called her, but still, I think that just maybe, I know who it was. That night, the victim was killed in the garden of the inner temple. And the criminal wasn't just there by accident, which means that the killer knew of Dahlia's plan from the very beginning.
And one more thing. The victim was moved to the Hazakura temple side by pendulum. In other words, the criminal couldn't cross the bridge. That means they were stuck on the inner temple side for almost an entire day.
Exactly. So the culprit was someone that wasn't in Hazakura temple the following day.
That's as much help as I can give you. The rest of the battle is yours to win. Or lose.
Okay, I've got it. Thank you, Mia. Finally, it's almost time to bring this case to an end. What exactly did Maya see, anyway? And who was it that actually killed Misty Fae? Whoever it was, I have to prove it. Me. All by myself. Did Morgan escape prison? And, get over there? How could she have, not been found then, though? You know what I mean? Now then, before we proceed any further, I'm going to announce the results of the tests we had performed earlier. Tests? Yes, tests. On the bloody dagger that was found stuck in the pine tree. Oh yeah, that! I totally forgot about it. That's the weapon that Maya Fey used when she fought with the victim. So what are the results? Was it the victim's blood, or...? Due to time constraints, a full test wasn't possible. However,
there's one thing we can say with certainty. The blood that was on this dagger was not the victim's blood. That is all. Now then, let's restart this trial.
So it wasn't Misty's blood on the dagger. Then whose was it? Wouldn't it have to have been Maya's then? Or it would have to have been the killer's, specifically.
I'm sure both the defense and the prosecution know this, but this trial is rapidly coming to a close. Both sides will need to show some firm evidence with their claims.
I understand, Your Honor.
From what I've heard, the witness is dangerously weak, physically speaking. So let's finish this quickly.
Agreed.
Very well. Please bring in the last witness. Witness, please tell us your name and profession.
Maya Fey. My profession is, I'm the assistant manager at Wright & Co. Law Offices.
Maya.
According to the magazine I have here, you're a spirit medium of the Karain channeling technique.
I'm frightened. The Fey clan, I don't want any more to do with it.
Oh, Maya. The pain the Fey bloodline causes must be unbearable.
Very well. Now then, Miss Fey, when the event occurred, you were in the garden of the Inner Temple, and you witnessed the moment of Miss Elisa Donham's murder. Is this correct?
I didn't see anything.
Straighten up this instant, young lady.
Huh?
Pick your head up and speak clearly. There's always time for crying later.
But
Your mother was killed right in front of your eyes. There's nothing you can do to change that fact. But there's something you can do. You can finish this. You've been watching the whole thing, right? You've seen the witnesses come out, and you've seen us squeeze the truth out of them. Now it's your turn. Let's hear your testimony. On the night of the crime, what exactly did you see happen? Witness, if you please.
Yes, Your Honor. I was passing through the garden on the way to a spare prep room when it happened. Suddenly, someone struck me over the head. I stumbled and ended up against the stone lantern. I think I screamed, "Help me!" Then something warm splashed over me. That's when I lost consciousness.
So you were struck on the head. I suppose it must have been this staff.
Maya! The person who hit you! It was Dahlia Hawthorne, wasn't it?
I'm sorry, Nick. I couldn't see. I don't know who it was.
Maya, think hard.
Sorry, Nick, but I really couldn't!
Ha! Can't say it was an especially good night for young ladies to be walking around alone. It seems that it will be hard to determine the criminal through testimony alone. Very well then, Mr. Wright, please begin your cross-examination.
Maya, hang in there. She doesn't look well at all.
I was passing through the garden on the way to a spare prep room when it happened. Suddenly, someone struck me over the head. I stumbled and ended up against the stone lantern. I think I screamed, "Help me!" and something warm splashed over me.
You don't mean... was it...
I didn't know it at the time, but I think it was probably blood.
Is she saying that's when Miss Donham, who was channeling Dahlia, was stabbed in the back by the killer?
At that moment, I was paralyzed with fear. I was just sitting there in the snow. I'm sure blood got on everything around me.
So what happened next?
I don't remember.
How were you saved? You don't even remember that?
No. I haven't got any idea. I really don't know what happened at all.
That's too bad.
I've worked side by side with Maya for 2 years now. I can tell when she's trying to hide something by how she acts. And right now, I'm absolutely certain she's hiding something. Let's just press everything. Who else was on the inner temple side that night?
Well, Sister Bikini, of course. But I remember her saying that Iris would be coming later as well.
On the day after the incident, Edgeworth met Bikini at Hazakura Temple. That means she couldn't be the criminal. So then, did Iris actually come later like she said?
Well, let me think.
She seems confused. It's probably because she's so tired.
No, I'm sure I didn't see her. She must have come while I was preparing for the training.
Who did it? Who hit you?
Well, I didn't see who it was. I was hit from behind.
You didn't see the person? But after that, your attacker was in front of you. How could you not see who it was?
Oh, let me think for a sec. I'm sorry. I just can't remember.
Maya is really having a hard time. What should I do? Press her harder! Come on, Maya. This isn't making sense. Why didn't you see this person?
Well, let me think. It was, oh yeah, that's right. It was dark, that's it.
It was dark.
It's not good to have too much light around when someone is undergoing spiritual training.
Come to think of it, there was earlier testimony to that effect as well. So it was dark in the garden on the night of the crime.
Which is why she didn't see her attacker. I thought maybe she was trying to hide something, but I guess not.
Judging by the testimony thus far, the identity of the attacker was most likely
the spirit that was channeled by Elisa Donan, Dahlia Hawthorne.
Very well. Please continue with your testimony. What happened after you were struck on the head?
I stumbled and ended up against the stone lantern. What happened afterwards?
My attacker was in front of me, blocking off my escape. I think.
You think?
After getting hit like that, I was in a state of panic. There were only 2 things rolling around in my mind at the time.
Well now, this is beginning to get interesting.
So what were the 2 things rolling around in your mind?
My name is Maya Fey. 1 + 1 = 2. You see, for some crazy reason, I was afraid I was gonna lose my memory. I know it's odd considering my life was in danger, but that's how it was.
That's not odd at all. Your actions are understandable given the circumstances. So, what did you do then?
I think I screamed, "Help me." You think you screamed, but you're not sure?
Listen, I was a complete wreck. It was dark and I couldn't see my attacker. Was it a man, a woman, an adult, a child? I had no idea. I was scared out of my wits.
Believe me, my dear, I'm certain I would have soiled my robes.
I thought this person might attack me, so I... Anyway, I'm pretty sure I screamed. I thought that it was my last hope.
Wow, it sounds like poor little Maya really was out of her mind. But I wonder what she meant by last hope. What do I do? Do I press her for more details? Wait a minute, Maya. What's this my last hope stuff?
What? What do you mean by your last hope?
No. That's what you said. You said my last hope.
Huh? What? I said what?
Look, you were facing an attacker that you couldn't see, and you screamed, right? You screamed, "Help me!"
Yeah?
But you testified that you screamed that because you thought it was your last hope.
Oh, well, you know, that's like... What do you call it when that happens?
Maya's not doing so well up there.
Oh, yeah, Oh, that's right. I remember now. I was facing my attacker, but that's not who I was screaming at.
What did you just say?
Yeah, that's right. It was the person behind my attacker that I was yelling at. That's who I was screaming to for help. Ah!
What is it now?
I messed up. I didn't mean to let that slip out.
Huh?
Witness, are you absolutely sure of what you're saying? Behind the attacker, there was another person?
I meant to keep that part a secret. What have I done?
Ha! It takes a ton of pressure to make a diamond. That's what I always say.
A ton of pressure?
You're in a court of law here. You can't make things up or try to hide things in this chamber. Witness, the information you just presented is vital to the case. I want you to add it to your testimony.
I could see a man behind my attacker by the light of the stone lantern. A man? A man? Who was this man?
Well, you see, I couldn't see.
You couldn't see? She's used this excuse twice now.
Well, you know, lantern light isn't very bright.
Lantern light, did you say?
There's a great big stone lantern in the garden. They always light it when an acolyte is there for training. Hey, you know what they say, under the lantern, darkness reigns. So I could see the person that was further away, but not my attacker, who was closer. Plus, there weren't any other light sources in the garden at the time.
That's false, because the lantern was unlightable. So there was a man standing behind your attacker.
Yeah.
That man, he's the killer. He stabbed her from behind. He's the one who killed Elisa Donan, otherwise known as Misty Faye, your mother.
The killer?
Maya, you know who killed your mother, don't you? What is the meaning of this, Mr. Wright? To be frank, Your Honor, I think she is in shock and quite confused. That's why she hasn't noticed the huge problem with her testimony.
Huh? What do you mean? What problem?
Maya, on the night of the crime, that stone lantern was out of commission.
Huh? What?
It's true. There was no light anywhere in the garden that night.
No!
Order! Order in the court! Mr. Godot, explain this! Add the pureness of milk to the perfect clear darkness of coffee. Stir. That is the state of the witness's mind right now. A cup of café au lait.
I don't know how you pronounce that.
Café au lait? Is that even legal? Mr. Trite's words are the milk and you are the spoon, Your Honor. I'm a spoon? I'm no spoony bard, I'll have you know. You must have noticed it too, Trite. This witness's mental state is highly unstable right now. It's not hard to understand why she would make a little mistake like that.
Sorry, but that's not going to cut it.
What did you say?
If there truly was no light in the garden, then there's a fatal contradiction in the witness's last bit of testimony.
Nick?
May I? Recall the witness's statement about her attacker. She said that she didn't know if it was a man or a woman, an adult or a child. And yet, the witness could describe a person that was standing behind her attacker, and she quite clearly described him as a man. In other words, that would have to mean that Maya actually saw our mystery person, despite it being so dark that she couldn't see the face of her own attacker.
No!
Order! What in the world does all this mean, Mr. Wright? Are you saying Miss Faye saw the real killer under pitch-black conditions? Trite, do you have any idea what you're proposing? How could she have seen in the dark? There was no other light source at the scene.
There are some things that you can only see in the dark, Mr. Godot. Maya, you did see who the killer was in the dark, and now you're trying to cover for him.
Cover? For the man that killed her mother?
There's only one conclusion I can draw from this. You know who this man is.
Please, Nick. I don't know anything. Please, I'm begging you.
Ha! You talk a good game, Trite, but let's see if you can walk the walk. It was pitch black, So what could the witness see? I'm calling your bluff.
No, Nick, don't! Please, stop! Maya is dead set on protecting this guy. The man who murdered Maya's long-lost mother. But I can't let him get away with it. I'm a lawyer, an officer of the court. I'm here to find the truth.
All right, Mr. Wright. Time to show us what you've got. Who was this person that you say Miss Fay saw in the darkness?
I'm pretty sure I know who it is. I'm pretty sure it happens to be somebody in this courtroom right now. I'm pretty sure it happens to be somebody who's got big old glow-in-the-dark mask lights on his face. Because it was pitch black, Miss Fay was able to recognize the killer easily. I'm sure the court would like to see for itself how this is possible, yes?
What? But how do you propose to show us something like that?
It's easy. We just need to recreate the conditions of that night.
Conditions?
Your Honor, the defense officially requests that all the lights in this courtroom be turned off.
This is... But it can't be. Ha! That was a nice bit of deduction. Trite.
Well, everyone? This is the man Maya saw on the night of the murder.
Order! Order! Prosecutor Godot, what is the meaning of this? Surely you must be shocked to hear yourself accused of such a thing. Why aren't you denying it? Ha! Your Honor, you're asking the wrong person. What do you mean by that? If you've got a question, ask the witness. That's one of my rules.
Well, Maya, how about it? What you saw that night? Was it 3 glowing red lights?
Well, witness, answer the question.
You're wrong. I never saw that. Maya. I thought the person that stabbed my mother was a man, for a totally different reason.
What? Witness, Mr. Wright, what the... Stop your chattering, Your Honor. Chattering? If it's worth asking, ask the witness. That's one of my rules. All right. Well then, let's continue with the testimony. Please tell us how you knew the killer was a man.
Yes, Your Honor. I didn't realize it until after I woke up, but... When I came to, I was just lying there on the training hall floor. By the time I got back to the garden, the place had totally changed. The torches were lit, and the body was gone. And all of the snow around the stone lantern had been carefully cleaned up too. Since the person did all that work alone, I just assumed it was a man.
So it was after the crime took place that the witness came to think the killer was a man.
Yes, that's right. I'm sorry, Your Honor,
No need to apologize. It's as Mr. Godot said, you're utterly exhausted. It's only natural that you would be a little confused. Also, if you consider the situation you described, it doesn't seem too much of a stretch to assume the culprit was a man. Mr. Wright, proceed with your cross-examination.
Alright, when I came to, I was just lying there on the training hall floor. By the time I got back to the garden, the place had totally changed. Torches were lit, and the body was gone. And all of the snow around the stone lantern had been carefully cleaned up too. So you're saying the killer cleaned up the snow? It did look really odd.
The snow was removed in an unnatural-looking rectangular shape around the lantern.
There were a lot of shovels around the inner temple, but they're all really heavy. Way too heavy for me to use.
An odd fellow indeed, this killer. Why on earth would anyone want to take snow away? Well, there's one thing I can think of. Didn't you say that a lot of the victims' blood sprayed onto the snow?
Yeah? The area I collapsed in ended up being splattered.
In other words, the killer's purpose was to hide the bloody snow. I think that's the most reasonable explanation. Perhaps. However, there's something that's bothering me. If the killer just wanted to hide the snow with blood on it, there was no need to remove that amount. That's true. He could have scooped up just the snow that was stained with blood. It looks like there are some mysteries behind this issue.
But I think this will help explain them.
Yeah, that's what proves Godot did it, because he cleaned up areas he didn't have to because he can't see blood. So is this what you... No, come on! So you're saying that you never saw the killer, right?
Yes.
But earlier you very clearly stated that you saw a man behind your attacker.
Nick, I'm sorry.
The killer certainly went through a lot of trouble. Moving the body by pendulum, manipulating the crime scene. But for what purpose? Why do all that? Maybe Maya knows more than she's letting on.
Alright, let's press the rest of it then.
So you lost consciousness when you were in the garden, is that right?
Yes, I think. I think it happened when the victim was stabbed.
So then the person that carried you into the inner temple? It could only have been the killer.
That's what I think, too.
So the killer carried Maya into the inner temple. Naturally, the killer must have done it, right?
Yes, I think so.
But why would the killer tamper with the crime scene like that? There must have been something that the killer desperately wanted to hide.
I don't know.
It looks like she doesn't have enough confidence. I think I need to gather some more information before I ask her again. So we should press that statement again later then? The torches were lit.
Yes, that's how I noticed that the whole scene had changed.
I'm going to say it was the killer who lit the torches. I mean, who else could it be? The killer probably lit them since it'd be impossible to do any cover-up work in the dark. However, if that's true, there's one thing that still bothers me. Why did the killer go to the effort of moving the body? That's true. It's hard to see how that would be of any advantage to the killer. The only one who would gain anything from that would be the only person that was at the inner temple, Maya. Very well. Let me hear some more about the condition of the crime scene.
The truth is, when I saw the crime scene, I felt something.
You did?
Yes. I felt like the killer was hiding the evidence from me. For my sake.
What? Hiding it for you?
Everyone knew that I was the only one at the inner temple that night. If Sister Bikini had come back and looked at the garden,
she may have thought that you had done it. No, she definitely would have thought so. And you're saying that's why the killer cleaned up the crime scene to make it look like nothing had happened?
Yes, I'm sure of it.
Well, that's certainly an important piece of information. I want you to add that to your testimony.
Yes, Your Honor.
I think it was for my sake that the killer cleaned up the evidence of what happened. They did it for your sake?
Well, if the body and the blood hadn't been removed, I would have immediately been the prime suspect, right?
Yes, I suppose that's true. Yeah, and if that happened, the body would have caused some other problems too. If her real identity had come out right then, it would have been terrible. Master of Kurain killed by own daughter. I don't think Maya would have been able to handle it.
But still, it's rather difficult to fathom the killer's motives. What reason is there to go through that much trouble to protect you?
Well, so then what? Now that we have that part... Torches were lit, yeah. Killer, yeah. However, yeah. Body. Maya, yeah. Okay. Let's try the first one again. Lost consciousness, yeah. Person could only have been the killer. Yeah, so the killer carried Maya, okay. Did look really odd. Snow was removed on it. Yeah. A lot of shovels. They're way too heavy. Okay. Fellow, why? Yeah, well, there's one thing. Victim's blood. Yeah. In other words, killer's purpose is to hide the bloody snow. Yeah, however, you know, why not hide other snow? But I think this will help explain them. Perhaps we use the lantern here because the lantern still has blood on it. What? But they left something. Aha! There we go. The body of Elisa Donum was carried all the way to Hazakura Temple's courtyard. Then, at the garden, the real scene of the crime, the snow that we suspect was covered in blood was scooped up and removed. It's reasonable to believe all this was done in an attempt to hide the true crime scene. However, there's still one matter that seems somewhat odd.
Oh? And what would that be?
You must have figured it out by now, Mr. Godot. It's the message written in blood on the lantern. It was written very clearly on the white stone lantern. Maya. Ah. If the killer was so motivated to protect Maya from suspicion, then why didn't they wipe the writing off the lantern?
Ah, you're right. Order. But Mr. Wright, isn't it a fact that the killer was trying to cover up the crime scene?
Indeed, but it doesn't make much sense to move the body and remove the bloody snow, then not wipe off the most incriminating thing of all, the bloody writing.
But if that's the case, do you have an explanation for the killer's mysterious behavior? Why would this killer move the body and remove all that snow, but then leave the bloody writing on the lantern?
I don't know what the killer's plan was, but it's a fact that the killer left writing on the lantern. There must be a reason for it.
Well then, Mr. Wright, let's hear your opinion. Why did the killer leave the message in blood?
Killer didn't notice it, man. Prosecutor Godot, earlier in this trial you gave me some good advice. Once you eliminate the impossible, whatever remains must be the truth.
Maybe you're not as dumb as I thought.
The real killer wanted to disguise the fact that a crime had occurred there. If that's the case, they wouldn't have left the bloody writing on the stone lantern on purpose. Therefore, it must mean that they didn't notice it.
But that doesn't make any sense. The torches were all lit and everything. There's no way any normal person would miss something as glaring as that.
You're right. There is no way any normal person would.
What? What are you trying to say, Mr. Wright?
There's only one person involved in this incident who could have missed seeing the bloody writing altogether.
And who would that be? Who is the person that could have failed to notice the bloody writing?
Mr. Godot, this is what you said yesterday.
My eyesight is pretty messed up. Even with these huge goggles on my head, I still can't see everything. You can't see everything? Is that correct, Mr. Godot?
This lantern was submitted as evidence today. I would like the court to think back to the moment it was first presented.
This lantern? There's something written on it. Why, it's written in blood. Nonsense. This lantern, it's as clean as a whistle.
Mr. Godot, just admit it. There are certain colors you can't see, correct? You can't see red on a white background, can you? That's right. We went through this once before, during the poisoning case at Trilogy.
This is the apron the delightful Miss Bird was wearing at the time, and somehow spilled coffee on. There's something still bothering me, Mr. Godot. Why have you not explained the bloodstain to the court? Bloodstain? What bloodstain would that be? Don't play games, prosecutor. The blood-colored stain that's smeared all over the apron. That's ridiculous. No one told me anything about a bloodstain.
You could see the coffee on the white apron, but you couldn't see the ketchup because it was red.
Ha! It's strange. In a black and white photo, those letters would have appeared black to me. I wonder, why am I the only one that can't see them? So then, Mr. Godot, are you admitting it? Are you admitting that you can't see the red writing on the lantern? Hey, Gramps, didn't you know? That's the reason why I don't drink red tea.
I wasn't sure about it until now, but I just can't believe it. Prosecutor Godot is the murderer. Well, that's gonna do it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, you can like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.